All right. Summer and a pandemic. So there's no going out for drinks. Well, that's not true. Now we've got bars open again. We'll see how that goes, I guess. But very popular summer drink pretty much everywhere, and certainly here in Toronto, is the Aperol Spritz. And we've been killing quite a few of them around here. In fact, the last time we bought 3 bottles, it lasted 4 days. So, right now, well, actually, a big load of Aperol just came back into the LCBO, but last week it was pretty hard to get any. You would have had to scurry around for a bottle or 2. So, you don't want to stop drinking Aperol Spritzes because it's hot. So what do? Well, it seems that there are some people knocking off Aperol. And a few weeks back, we came across this one, Peychaud's Aperitivo, when someone we had paid to go shopping for us couldn't find any Aperol. And they found this, and we had it, and it was pretty good. It was credible, but we never directly compared it. And then yesterday, I found this Martini. Now, they do a lot of kind of middle-of-the-road spirits of various kinds. I'm sure you've all seen giant bottles of their vermouth sitting behind a bar somewhere, spoiling. But, the color looked promising, and I thought, what the hell? And that inspired the idea of doing a taste test. So we went out to buy a bottle of this last night, and found this one, too, which I've never even heard of before. So here we are. Just because it's this color doesn't necessarily mean A, that it's new, or B, that it's intended to be used the same way. But of course, your Aperol has the Aperol Spritz recipe on the back. And it is, oh, yeah, there we go. Yeah, so this one's Prosecco, Aperol in equal parts, and then a splash of soda. And then this one definitely have that. 2 parts Martini Fiero, this thing. 2 parts Martini Prosecco, because of course you have to use the same brand.
Yeah.
And 1 part soda. So exactly the same. And I think we did notice this the other day on here. Now they don't just call it a spritz. They want to be a little different here. And even though they pitch this as though they've been at it for ages, they go on and on about Peychaud as a bartender and inventing the bitters, which, Peychaud's bitters, they're good, though they're very hard to find, without going to a specialty shop. Your Angostura bitters are kicking around everywhere. Their ratio is a little different, and they call it a Royal Street Fizz. It's 3 parts champagne, because French. 2 parts Peychaud's Aperitivo and a splash of club soda, and bottled in the USA. So, well, its roots might be French, but and this one, there is no recipe. So,
where's that one bottled?
This one is very Italian.
Yeah,
So,
seriously.
product of Italy. The cap is broken, sadly, on the swing top, but it didn't affect the bottom part. Has its full shape and is doing an excellent job of holding in this little bit of silicone. All right. Peychaud's, and here's our Aperol reference.
Definitely the Aperol's the most orange, with the Peychaud's as a close second. And then the Martini is the reddest,
Yeah.
with the Poli kind of like as
Yeah.
a...
Yeah. All right. So, I don't know what order to do this
I think we
in.
start with Aperol, because
right.
we know what it tastes like.
It's interesting, when you have it on its own, the bitterness comes through much more It's definitely sweet. I think might need a glass of water.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely sweet.
Next up, the Peychaud's.
Whoa.
That is less sweet.
It is less sweet and more bitter, but somehow more balanced.
Yeah.
Somehow with the Aperol, the sweetness and the bitterness are both more forward than in the Peychaud.
Yeah. Yeah, the bitterness was very upfront with the Aperol, but the end was just so cloying
Sickly.
sweet. Really needed to reach for this. I think we still need to rinse, but I don't feel the same desperate need to rinse.
No, it's not cloying in the same way.
All right, next up,
Up
the
there.
Fiero.
What the fuck?
It's not that it's bad, but it is unexpected. There is definitely a hint of orange there, but it's not bitter in the same way. And there's a kind of berry tone there, almost like blackberries or something like that.
It's more like biting into an orange or having orange juice as opposed to like a pithy orange zesty. Like the Aperol and the Peychaud's really lean into like the zest type pith bitter flavor, and this is much more like a Tropicana orange juice with cranberry or something, which I think it would be delicious with.
Yeah,
you know.
it's just I was so caught off guard by it that it is sweeter than the Peychaud's. I don't think it's as sweet as the Aperol. I mean, it's hard if we're not doing grams of sugar here, but in terms of how it feels.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't feel as sweet.
But I am feeling it.
Definitely not something you drink straight.
All right, and prize for prettiest bottle.
Holy. I don't know how that's how you pronounce it in Italian. I'm not Italian. Wow. That's really good.
Really, really like that. It has a lot. It is bitterer than any of
Any of the
these.
others.
It's kind of halfway to Campari.
And the least sweet by far.
Trying to decide if that's actually true or if just the bitterness is really cutting through. Certainly, I'm not feeling a need to rinse.
No.
It's not leaving a sweet aftertaste.
I would not I would not bet money on this having less sugar by volume, but this is definitely the least sweet in terms of mouthfeel.
And it's got a long, bitter orange tone. Like the sugar is going away, and the oils, I
linger.
bet there's real, actual orange peel in here, not just flavoring. I'll have to do some homework and find out. I still would not drink it straight, but most of these things are not really intended for that.
I think the closest to something I would drink straight would be the Peychaud's.
Yes.
Because it's the most balanced.
Yeah. This is...
It's really good.
Punchy. I like it. Yeah. All right. So...
Definitely not a starter aperitivo, though.
So these are going to be very short. assume that the few drops of contamination are not a factor. There we go. 4, a bit on the small side, spritzes. Aperol, Peychaud's, Martini Fiero, and
Aperitivo.
Alright. Still a very tasty classic, I have to say.
Yep. Tastes exactly like an Aperol Spritz.
Funnily enough.
How strange.
It tastes less balanced now than it did on its own.
Yes.
The bitterness is much more forward, though if you don't like your drink so sweet, you would definitely maybe prefer this version.
I now realize why we didn't notice so much of a difference with the pictures. I think partly because the taste buds go a little bit towards the bitter end. That's good.
Well, if you've never had one, it's very, I don't know, I mean, what can I say? It's Martini. It's a big outfit that makes mediocre person lots of things. It's like the mediocre person revving their motorcycle.
Yeah, it's almost sour.
Which is weird because it's sweet and very kind of berry. The bitterness of the orange is completely lost.
It's
at this
gone.
point.
It tastes like it doesn't taste bad. It just tastes like a different drink.
One that's, you know what? It's making me think, like, this is the soda pop version. We're simulating a thing, but we're doing it all with artificial flavors, and we're going to put it in a can.
Yeah. And they have a recipe that's 50 this, 50 tonic on the back of their bottle. And I could see that a lot more with this, of a more...
The tonic bitter would...
leaning more into that.
Oh, like not 50% that.
No,
50% this
yeah.
with tonic. That'd be interesting.
But I think this needs more than just Prosecco, and I don't think it's bad. It just needs more than Prosecco and soda water, unlike the Aperol or the Peychaud's.
Yeah, let's see the Polly. I won't say anything until you have your... So, it's not an Aperol Spritz. Not that it claimed to be one. But it does feel like half Aperol Spritz and half, if there was such a thing, a Campari Spritz.
Yeah. It leans way more into the bitterness, which it's not an entry. It's not an entry into the aperitif cocktail world.
Well, unless what's kept you out of there is the sweetness of things.
Yes.
This might be a good go-to, though you're never going to be able to order this in a bar, I don't think. Maybe a fine Italian restaurant somewhere, but even that, I don't know. But all of these are available in the LCD.
Yeah. There you go. Which is your favorite? Yeah, I think
I do like this. I would drink it, and I think I can see using this. I don't know. May take some more research, and it be a good something maybe worth trying. Next would be to make the drinks that they themselves suggest should be made, rather than trying to hammer them all into the Aperol box and then being disappointed. It might be more fair to see, and in the case of Polly, we might need to see if they've got a website and have an opinion.
Yeah.
All right. Something for another day. Meanwhile, check out the other videos. If you like what you see, subscribe.
Cheers.